Welcome back. Neither Donald Trump nor Hillary Clinton had to utter a single syllable during the Sunday political programs as their surrogate spoke out on everything from what will hopefully be the final word on birtherism to a not-so-veiled threat against those who don't get in line on the GOP side. Newsmax reporter Ed Berliner puts it into perspective.
I think sometimes we get lost in the minutia of the campaign, all these small issues that aren't really central to anyone in making a decision about picking a president.
This started with Hillary Clinton's campaign, number one. Number two, it was Donald Trump who put the issue to rest when he got President Obama to release his birth certificate years later. And number three, he said that President Obama was born in this country, period.
How and when did Donald Trump conclude that the president was born in the United States?
You'll have to ask him that. That's a personal decision.
Here we are a mere 49 days to the presidential election, and we are still talking about the birther movement. And to be fair, that infamous Mark Penn memo was indeed issued, and he was at the time a senior strategist for the Clinton campaign. But there is no solid evidence the campaign hierarchy or the Clintons themselves ever bought into the notion. So what say we move on to the more important matters from a Sunday chock full of weekend wonderings, a not-so-veiled promise to those former GOP candidates who don't get in line behind Donald Trump.
Would the party itself penalize somebody who does not make good on the pledge that they made to support the party?
I think these are things that our party is going to look at in the process.
Democratic second seat Tim Kaine promoting his potential boss as the best to oversee our military fight around the world.
I have a boy who's a Marine infantry officer. He's one of the 2 million young men and women who serve in the United States military, and he's deployed now for the second time. I would trust Nat. I would trust Hillary Clinton with Nat's life.
Her bodyguards should drop all weapons.
Then there are comments Kaine made suggesting Donald Trump was calling for an act of violence against Hillary Clinton, suggesting her Secret Service detail should disarm and see what happens.
He said that that was to incite violence is outrageous, and he owes Donald Trump an apology.
Don't hold your breath for at least the next 49 days. JD, no apologies. Then it's back to you.
Ed, thank you very much. For more on all of this, we're pleased to be joined by our political panel. First, Skyping in from New York City. New York City, yep, the former Lieutenant Governor of the Empire State, Betsy McCaughey. And from out west, Los Angeles to be specific, political commentator Michael Reagan. Michael, of course, the author of the bestseller, Lessons My Father Taught Me, the strength, integrity, and faith of Ronald Reagan. And as always, you can find and follow Michael on Twitter, his handle @ReaganWorld. Now, the big story from those Sunday shows wasn't exclusively politics, but also the politics of terror. Another string of attacks on American soil. Betsy, your take on how both Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton responded to those attacks?
Well, Hillary Clinton, when she didn't look absolutely drugged, responded with the same old babble about how we've brought this on by attacking the Muslim religion. It's ridiculous when you see lines of Christians with their heads bowed because they're being beheaded or hung by meat hooks. They didn't bring it on by calling out the Muslim religion. But Hillary Clinton is once again spinning that babble, that political babble, that somehow we've brought this on, and particularly she calls on Donald Trump and says that he's brought it on by identifying the war against Islamic extremism. I was also really glad that Donald Trump has been pointing his finger at the biggest issue, the issue that no one else will discuss because it's considered so politically incorrect, and that is assimilation. Once again, the crime was committed by a second-generation immigrant from a Muslim country, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Somalia. In all these cases, Iraq, these are children born here. And why are they doing this? They're really invited, they're open to this kind of terrorist indoctrination because their parents haven't assimilated. They're living in enclaves. They're still looking to their own Muslim-type Sharia law. They are not becoming Americans, and Trump is right. We must insist on assimilation in this country. We cannot let American culture slip through our fingers and American safety with it.
Well, Michael, Donald Trump, for his part, phoned into Fox News this morning, weighing in on what happened this weekend. Let's look and listen to the way Trump explains it.
These are sick, evil people that want to destroy this country. And the way we coddle them and the way we're afraid to say anything, and we're afraid to say what the problem is and who they are, and they don't want to say radical Islam. They don't want to talk about radical Islamic terrorism.
So there is Trump, in the minds of many, telling it like it is. Your dad was known as the great communicator. How effective is Trump being at communicating this message?
I think he's being very effective in communicating this message, and it seems every week that goes by, something happens to solidify his message that he has been communicating since the day he walked into the selection process, June, a year ago. And I think it's finally just catching on with people. That's why you see the polls, where the polls are today, where he is surging, and Hillary Clinton is dumping, if you will, the people who may go out and support her now may not even show up to vote on election day. It was interesting to see Hillary and the mayor of New York, how they reacted to this. They were more upset that Donald Trump called it a bomb than the bomb itself that went off. And it was amazing just to sit and watch all that for half of the day over the weekend, yesterday, there was more talk about, well, Donald Trump called it a bomb before he knew it was a bomb. Everybody knew it was a damn bomb. It's about time we forget about political correctness and call things what they are, and that's exactly what Donald Trump is doing.
Yeah, it's worth noting Hillary mentioned bombing, and then go ahead, Betsy.
The president never weighed in on the issue at all. The nation is under attack, and President Obama was silent.
And we also see a very curious change in Hillary because, as we were mentioning earlier, Hillary first mentioned a bomb, then CNN edited out of that kind of sleepwalking talk on her campaign plane. But now she's gone to something new. She is calling Trump's comments, quote, a diversion. Let's look and listen.
Let's not get diverted and distracted by the kind of campaign rhetoric we hear coming from the other side. This is a serious challenge. We are well equipped to meet it, and we can do so in keeping with smart law enforcement, good intelligence, and in concert with our values.
Michael Reagan, that was Hillary Clinton before she got on her campaign plane this morning. Your take on those comments?
I mean, it's just Hillary Clinton. I mean, the reality of it is she's trying to run away from herself, because much of this is happening because of the doctrine, if you will, of not following our values of Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton.
That's right.
And
we're in this mess because of this.
Now she's trying to say, elect me so I can fix what I've done.
Exactly. They had 8 years and they didn't get it done. And Hillary Clinton is actually standing for bringing in many, many, many more millions of people from around the world, including probably 100,000 Syrian refugees. We can't bet them. There are going to be more terrorists embedded in those groups.
And that's exactly what's going on. I mean, there was another story out today that somehow we've allowed 800 immigrants who should have been deported back to their countries of origin to become an American citizen. I mean, Washington is absolutely broken. And why you would want to elect someone who would help break Washington to, in fact, fix Washington is just, to me, absolutely outrageous. And I hope the American people, really get this before it's too late.
You mentioned that immigration, quote, mistake. We're going to talk more about that in a few minutes with Wayne Allen Root. But before we go, look at what Donald Trump said on Twitter, and it really echoes what you were saying, Betsy. Trump tweeted out, under the leadership of Obama and Clinton, Americans have experienced more attacks at home than victories abroad. Time to change the playbook. And there's Hillary with that kind of boilerplate language. I strongly condemn the apparent terrorist attacks in Minnesota, New Jersey, and New York. Betsy, last word to you, 20 seconds.
Well, the people of New York and Minnesota, San Bernardino, and Orlando owe their misery, their fear, their injuries to Hillary Clinton.
And Kane's son Nat would be much safer with a president than a President Trump than, in fact,
Absolutely.
a President Clinton.
We appreciate it very much. Betsy McCaughey and Michael Reagan, you have our thanks.